Hey, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be working on the double drop brick stitch, and it's a good idea if you know the single drop or the regular brick stitch first, but you can learn this one first. You can learn stitches out of order. So let's begin. You pick up 4 beads instead of 2 with the double drop, and after that it's pretty similar. You pull them down to the end of your string, and then you go through the very bottom 2 beads, and by doing this you create like a little bead knot, and that's what's going to hold your beads on the thread. So you want to do this a couple times around. So you go through the bottom 2 and then you loop around these 4 beads a couple of times. This makes it so it's nice and tight, and especially if you're using seed beads instead of delicas, it's important to make sure that your beads stay on the string and are tight. So when you have completed your first 4 beads and they are locked in place, you are going to add beads, obviously. You're going to pick up 2 beads instead of 1, and you're going to be chasing the thread. So the beads that the string comes out of, you're going to be going in through the opposite beads. We call that chasing the thread. So you go in through the bottom. Well, I went in through the bottom because my string was coming out the top. And so once you secure those beads, and you basically repeat this as many times as you need for the row, whatever your design calls for. Okay, so I am done with this row, and we are going to do a turnaround. Now the turnarounds are very similar to a single drop brick stitch. Instead of picking up 2 beads, we pick up 4 beads. So I pick up 4 beads here. And this is an extra little step. You bring them down to the end of your thread. And similarly to when we first started the whole project, you bring your needle up the first 2 beads and you pull that tight. And you're creating that little bead knot again. So you then go down the 2 beads that sit next to the beads that your thread's coming out of. And then at the bottom of those beads, you go through the second thread bridge. Now, going through the second thread bridge will create a naturally decreasing shape. So I'm going through the second thread bridge. Then you pull out of the thread bridge and you go back through the beads that you just went down. Now the beads, if you notice to the left, the first row, they sit kind of wonky on top. There's this bead that kind of sticks kind of diagonally out. I do this extra step to flatten it. I go down that bead and then I go next door. And this is just down the first bead, not both beads. And then I go up the bead next door. So you're just going down the first bead of these rows. And then I pull tight. So that makes that bead on the very top sit evenly. It sits flat. And then, you just go about the row as if you did the first row. So, you pick up 2 more beads. And then you go down the next thread bridge. And up through the beads. And you continue on throughout that way through the whole row. Okay, again, we're at the turnaround. So you flip the piece over. We're always working left to right. And you pick up 4 beads. Again, you bring them all the way down to the bottom of your thread. And you bring your needle up the first 2 beads. Sorry about this being cut off here. I'm still making these videos. This is the first time I've done this. I'm new to this stuff. So please take it easy on me, guys. And here I just went down, and you can see again, through the next 2 beads. So then you find the second thread bridge, through that thread bridge, and then we go up the beads that our thread is coming out of. Once again, we're chasing that thread here. And then I did my little step where I flatten that bead, that first bead to the left. I go down only the first bead, and then I go next door, and I go up that first bead of the second row, and that creates this flat shape. And that's it. You know, you continue with the rest of your project, and good luck.